almost like a muscle that I've been working on and building and strengthening and growing, and now it's just grown out of control. So with the antique artwork, I guess the hoarding problem is what I call it actually, was my uncle and I were really into this. He's more into just antiques and refinishing them, and I was into making artwork out of broken antiques and salvaging pieces of historical fact. There's a lot of history to it, character to it, and they were designed and built well, and they looked pretty, so I was like, all right, I want to use this as my base materials for stuff. And I would just go into the garage and start mashing things together. And I started coming across the antique frames too, so these big ornate gilded frames, and I was like, man, are they ever beautiful? Like compared to the boring IKEA little black frames, and I almost just completely departed from that antique hoarding mess artwork of sculptural antique bits and Frankenstein stuff. There's just something that clicked, you know what I mean? You get that eureka moment. So I don't know if you can see this one here. This is one of the first ones I did. And so I was finding at the antique shops these old paintings. I wanted the old frames. I didn't care too much about the paintings, to be honest. And then after a while I started seeing, people were doing this. Dave Pilotte and Gnarled Beach. I think even Banksy, some guy from the UK, did a couple of these where he paints on the landscape. But, it's usually like superheroes, Darth Vader, Super Mario Brothers, Pac-Man, a giant sea creature. And I wanted to do something that was a little bit more contemporary and relevant. And I thought, why not start putting in these toxic accidents that you kind of hear about in the news all the time? So this one's actually titled after the news headline that I thought about. So it's called 50,000 liters of oil spill on a Calgary highway and sinks into the wetlands. So like, all right, well, there's the title of a ruined landscape. I'm going to ruin this landscape. It was really well received on social media, and I said, well, you know what? Why don't I really start going at that and getting more of these, because they're pretty easy to find these days. And I ended up getting about 30 of them and ruining all of them. And that was a solo show at the Ottawa Art Gallery in 2016. So I did it up all parlor style. With 30 of these paintings all ruined with train derailments and truck rollovers. I had barrels being dumped into the creeks, and these are all based on real Canadian toxic accidents. I find if something is serious and heavy and not going away, then that's when I kind of want to start exploring it as an art piece. So I have been doing one, it's called You Get a Gun, You Get a Gun, You Get a Gun, Everybody Gets a Gun, and it's a cherub and he's sharing guns down to the population. I'm trying to find a balance between the heavy-duty, serious subject matter and the comedy. And that's always a very delicate balance because you don't know how people are going to react. Different people react differently. Every now and then I probably push the button a little too much and it upsets a few people. So it's kind of navigating how far down the humor side I can take a serious issue. And it is something I really do struggle with because there's people's lives that are getting snuffed away in some of these paintings, and there's nothing funny about that at all. But then we also have to talk about how this is happening again and again and often, and we can correct these problems. We can correct the gun culture. We can hopefully one day ban and eliminate weapons that would hurt people. So I think it's important when I'm making artwork that my audience can understand it right away, and is saying something to the audience. I think with my stuff, I want to make the artwork as a visual language to communicate to my audience without having to explain anything. So a lot of my artwork could be seen as kind of like, not too complex and not too complicated in a way. And I don't mind that at all. I'm not making artwork for artists. I'm making artwork for the public and the population around me. That's definitely an important factor when I'm thinking about who my audience is and where my artwork's going to be seen.